I'm chatting with Damien from OK Go today.
Hi.
And the first thing I wanted to ask you is, can you remember one particular song that made a really big impression on you, perhaps growing up?
Oh wow, there's so many. I mean, the first song that really made a huge impression on me was "Rocket" by Herbie Hancock.
Yeah.
Um, I remember I heard there was like I was at a summer camp, like a day camp, that during the summer your parents send you off to so that
Mm-hmm.
because you're not at school, and there's a kid with like a big like shaggy head of hair who had like a boombox over his shoulder,
Yeah.
and that song blasting out of it, and I was like, what is this? It was like completely changed the way I saw the world. And I remember going home to my dad and being like, and I just sang the riff from the song to my dad. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I've got to get this song. I got to get this song. My dad, it was pretty cool of him actually. He took me to a Tower Records and he was like, sing the song for the man. And I was like, oh, that's Rocket. And he went and he found me the 7 inch, and
Very
it
cool.
changed me forever.
Started off your like real love of music, you think? It was like one of the
Yeah, I
major
mean, I have a
ones.
very musical family. My mother is a violinist. I mean, not professionally, but she plays in
Mm-hmm.
two volunteer orchestras, actually three now. And come, her mother is studied music as a college student, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of music on my mother's side, and my father listens to just a ton of. I mean, my father's really into classical music and sort of early pop. He really
Yeah.
likes the Beatles and Buddy Holly and stuff. And so I can remember actually I remember thinking that "Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds" was a country song
Oh yeah.
because I only knew it from my dad singing it to
Singing
me
it.
as a kid, and he has a little bit of a southern accent, so there was a lot of music in my family, but I do remember when pop music kind of hit me, and I realized that like I had my own that there was something that was like scratching that itch in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
It was
To do
wonderful.
that. Cool. So this is I think your third album, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, third album. So tell us about it. How was the experience of putting that together? You worked with a different producer on this one, right?
Dave Fridman, and he's of course best known for his work with the Flaming Lips and MGMT, Mercury Rev, those kinds of bands. And I've always been a huge fan of his this sort of the kind of psychedelic outer space thing that he's able to do,
Mm-hmm.
and he we have since learned that he really is like such an amazing engineer that he could kind of get you anything you want, but
Yeah.
that's the sound that he's like the only person in the world who knows how to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went to the studio with 106 songs, I think, because we'd had like a something of a like existential crisis in our writing
Yeah.
where we had been on the road for 2.5 years
Mm-hmm.
touring on the last record, and I think it started to came back home so anxious to write songs that we tried to write songs that we thought of as OK Go songs.
Yeah.
And so we wound up in sort of a feedback loop where we were trying to write songs that sound like us,
Mm-hmm.
and so there was no real heart to them. They were just really like circular. It was
Yeah.
like, this is what I think I know how to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so at some point we sort of we hated the stuff we've been writing so much that we just kind of scrapped all of it and started from the ground up,
Yeah.
and just started sort of combining sounds together until we found that magical moment when two sounds added together equals an emotion as opposed to just another sound. And we chase these sort of like little glimmers of that alchemy,
Mm-hmm.
and hope that there are songs at the end of them. And so there's 106 things that we sort of had, like we were like,
Playing with, yeah.
yeah,
Playing
kind
around
of
with.
like weeding our way through, when we finally got into the studio with Dave. Uh, and it was sort of interesting to sit down and listen to it with him. We just spent an entire day
Mm-hmm.
listening through all these little blips and threads of songs, and hearing the kind of themes come out.
Yeah.
There was definitely a very strong sort of theme of the type of music. I mean, the way we'd wound up with him in the first place,
Mm-hmm.
kind of that big distorted drum sound, and that kind of like, it's almost like Zeppelin for a new era or something. And then there was a big sort of strain of Prince running through it too,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't think we really realized as we were writing it. It kind of it's just that Prince has been a huge idol of mine since I
Yeah.
was 12, and and I guess making music this way our influences really, like older influences like that, really started to shine because
Yeah.
we weren't doing what we thought we should be doing. We were just doing, what came out of us,
Yeah. I was going to actually mention the Prince thing. I know that you've discussed it heavily elsewhere, so I won't delve too much into that. But I wanted to ask if you had the chance to collaborate with him on one of his songs, which one would you choose?
Oh, if I had the chance to collaborate with Prince,
Yeah.
man, I think I might go for a really early one. I think
Hmm.
that like maybe Delirious or Controversy.
Yeah.
They're his records really. I mean, I'm a big fan of most eras of Prince. I mean, I like him all the way through like Diamonds and Pearls.
Yeah.
But I think that the later stuff, it's like it's so signature that I can't imagine how you
How
would
would you
fit
look
anything
like
else
it?
into it.
Yeah. And on the other side of that coin, if he was to join you on one of your songs and perhaps be in one of your crazy videos, which one would you think you would pick?
Boy, I'd love to hear him sing the song "Skyscrapers."
Yeah.
It's a really sort of mellow but very soulful song, and I would love to. And there's a lot of screaming at the end. I think it would be
Yeah.
really good.
That would
Uh,
work well.
yeah, that would be great. And of course, I think the princiest song on the record is "White Knuckles," and I
Yeah.
think I'd be fascinated to hear him do it. But at the same time, it's like it already sounds like Prince. So I guess it's sort of like it's just a little too on the nose. It might be. I mean,
Hmm.
I'd love to hear him. There's a ballad on the record called "Last Leaf."
Yeah.
I'd love to hear what he did with that. Or there's the last song on the record is a song called "In the Glass," and it has this big sort of uh, this big build up that's kind of like a little hypnotic at the end, and
Hmm.
I'd sort of love to hear what that would be like in his hands. I heard that he actually really hates when anyone sounds anything like
Like
him.
him, yeah.
A friend of mine DJ'd at a party once that he showed up
Hmm.
at, and was playing Beck when he walked in, and Prince sent over one of his henchmen to say, tell that man never to play that song
Oh my
again.
god.
Like like modern soul is his territory and only
Yeah.
his territory. And I mean, I you could not find a bigger Prince fan than I am. I mean, I love what he does, but I don't think he needs to own it only by
Own
himself.
everything, the genre, yeah. You recently went independent onto an independent label. I
Hmm.
wanted to know what are the best and worst things about the departure from a major and coming to an indie label.
Well, the best and worst things are sort of the same.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just an indie label; it's our indie label. I
Yeah.
mean, we are running it ourselves. So the best thing is that we have total control over what we're doing. I mean, we don't have to get anyone's permission for any decisions, and we do
Yeah.
things exactly the way we want. The worst thing is that every bit of work that needs to get done needs to get done by us.
Exactly.
It's taken us a little while just to get it all set up. To find the people to sort of be the staff of the label and
Yeah.
get all the kind of get the distribution chain worked out and all the
Mhm.
kind of nuts and bolts of it. But
Yeah.
it's a great feeling. The not to specifically complain about major labels. I feel
Mhm.
like I've done enough complaining in the last 6 months. But your job when you're a band any smaller than Green Day. In fact, probably even when you are Green Day,
Yeah.
the job of you and your management with respect to your label is just to fight all the time. Basically,
Mhm.
like you call them up and you say, "There's 100 things we need to have done if we're going to get this record, out into the public the right
Yeah.
way." And then they sort of like they can't do all of them, or they can't afford to do all of them. They don't have time to do all of them, or
Mhm.
they're already doing that for some other band, and you have to convince them to do it for you too. It's just like your whole job is basically to sort of like complain and be annoyed with them all the time.
Yeah.
And now it's exactly the opposite. Now that we are the label, there are no enemies anymore. Everybody's just your
On
friend.
the same time, yeah.
Everybody's a potential friend. So instead of spending our time sort of like, uh, in this sort of like high anxiety game of like trying to get things done for you, you
Yeah.
just do it yourself. But it takes a lot of effort to do them.
Yeah.